Hello and welcome to Prudent IAS, one-stop solution for all the competitive exams. During our freedom struggle, the Indian National Congress played a vital role. It gave birth to early nationalism. But Congress was a group of people, and wherever there is a group of people, two or more people meet, ideological differences are bound to happen. Same was the case with INC. There were two factions in the INC, one moderates and the other extremist. We are talking about the early INC. After 1885, after its formation, what were the two factions? So today we will be studying about these factions, how you need to study, what are the key parameters, and then we will be moving towards a model question as well as a model answer. The approach will be the same. While discussing the topic, I'll be telling you about the content, and then while discussing about the answer, I'll be telling you about do's and don'ts of answer writing. Let's begin with this topic. Political viewpoints exist on a spectrum. Some favor middle ground and others embrace the edges. So whenever there is a topic, opinion-based topic, if this is the spectrum, there can be some people who choose the extremes. Now this can be extreme aggression, for example. The other end will be extreme peace. Some might prefer solving it with peace and some with aggression. And some people might choose a midway. So we'll see how the moderates were on the peace side and extremists were on the aggression side. But ultimately, INC had to choose this middle path. These differences shaped the dialogue, policy, even the society matters for everyone. First, we look at the background. As already mentioned, the Indian National Congress was formed in 1885. It initially aimed to create a platform where the educated Indians could voice their concerns over the British rule. See, education was limited to mostly the upper middle class, and the masses were not a part of the voicing concern platform. Over time, ideological differences emerged within the Congress due to the ineffectiveness of constitutional methods. So it rose nationalism and frustration over the British indifference. So what they did was, earlier this relied on constitutional methods, but because they were not reaping results, the faction which had differences with the constitutional method aimed for more nationalist and aggressive methods. That was known as extremist. This led to the emergence of two distinct trends within the national movement. First up is the moderate phase. We'll study from 1885, right from the formation of INC up to 1905. Now the major event of 1905 was the partition of Bengal. Then the extremist phase from 1905 to 1919. Another important event of 1919, just jot in the comment section below. What was it? So while reading about this topic, how this is your answer writing series. So the structure of the content will be as per the answer only. What are the parameters you need to analyze? First up is the personalities, then their philosophical ideological approach, the demands, the contribution, the ideological differences, limitations, etc. We'll begin with the key personalities who shaped the moderate phase of the Indian national movement. First up, we have Dadabhai Naoroji. Now, about each of these pioneers and personalities, you need to have some information. Their famous quotes, which you can use while writing the answers and essays, the famous books as well, and basic ideology as well. He is known for the drain of wealth, which exposed the British economic exploitation of India. Next is Gopal Krishna Gokhale. He was the mentor of Mahatma Gandhi, who advocated gradual reform through constitutional means. Then comes M.G. Ranade, prominent constitutionalist who believed in social reform and change alongside the political change. Next up we have Surendranath Banerjee, influential constitutionalist who founded the Indian Association and advocated for civil service reforms. It is very important from an exam perspective that you need to keep in mind who first advocated for the civil services reforms, when the exams started taking places, when was it passed in the bills, etc. Now coming to philosophy and approach. The moderates believed that British rule had some positive elements. They had full faith in the British and they believed as they are doing good in the West, someday they'll bring good rule in India as well. So they laid on legal reforms, railways. They thought that they have brought in some good initiative like the railways and they'll ultimately do good for Indian citizens. They thought that India could achieve political rights through dialogue and persuasion. So they had three methods, the famous 3 P's, that is prayer, petition is filing cases in the court, and protest, peaceful protest, I would say. They had strong faith in the British liberal traditions because this was basically the educated class. So you need to develop a holistic picture because they were influenced by the Western education. They had been exposed that what the Britishers were doing in their own country. They thought that, okay, we can have some faith on the Britishers, and ultimately they sought reforms, not independence initially, because they thought that the masses were majorly illiterate and the British were solely responsible for bringing the reforms in India. The methods they choose along with the 3 P's, that is drafting petitions, memorandums, resolutions, holding meetings, publishing articles and pamphlets, delegations to Britain to appeal directly to the Parliament and the Crown. What were the initial demands? Indianization of the civil services. When you will read polity, then you will know that the civil services were earlier restricted only to the Britishers and then only to educated Indians who paid hefty fees. The exam was also conducted in London. Later it was shifted to India. Expansion of legislative councils and greater representation. Freedom of speech and press. Reduction in the military expenditure and taxes. Protection for Indian industries against the unfair British trade practices. So they were somehow successful in exposing the Britishers. For example, the economic exploitation was exposed by Dadabhai Naoroji. The trade practices, the unfair trade practices was also exposed, but then too they believed that if they'll appeal to the Crown and the Parliament, the steps will be taken. But time and again they had to face disappointment because the Britishers paid no heed to their demands. Still, what were their contributions? Economic nationalism, as mentioned, the exploitative nature of the British policies, political awareness, first generation to instill the idea of nationhood among the Indians. Now, if you will read these points from present era, then you will feel like that they were lame methods. But at that time, just believe it was very brave of them to get education to stand against the rulers who were the colonial powers. So, institutional building helped form political associations, newspapers and civil space for protest. So they were laying a basic building block for the freedom struggle. Their role cannot be negated. What were the limitations? Over-reliance on the British goodwill, lack of mass base because it mostly contained the educated middle class, failed to achieve any major political concession, seen as too cautious and slow in their approach. Now, how can you analyze that? Were their demands met by the Britishers or not? When you read this topic, you will have to simultaneously read about a number of topics. What are they? First up, who was the Viceroy at that time? What was the basic nature of the Viceroy? Was he good to Indian? What were his major policies? How was his rule, administration? Next up, what were the acts that were brought in? For example, the Indian Council Acts, right, of 61, 92, then the Molle Minto reforms of 1909. So you will read the dateline of moderates and then you will read about these acts that they demanded for certain things and was that accepted in the act or not. Majorly they were not accepted. Some breadcrumbs were thrown, that's it. So later it gave rise to the extremist faction. Now, what were the key personalities? Who were the key personalities? Sorry. First up is the Bal Gangadhar Tilak, the famous Lal Bal Pal trio, assertive nationalist who promoter of Hindu festivals for political mobilization. So, focus on the religious aspect of politics. Bipin Chandra Pal advocated bold, direct action in India's freedom struggle. Lala Lajpat Rai, he advocated bold, direct action in India's freedom struggle as well. And then came Aurobindo Ghosh. He promoted spiritual as well as revolutionary nationalist methods. So they were different in the personal ideologies, but at the end what they want were extremist methods. Now what were these extremist methods and philosophies? They believed that the British rule was exploitative. So no faith in the British rule, no faith in the British goodwill. They rejected the reliance on petitions or British goodwill, emphasized self-confidence, self-reliance and Swaraj. So time and again the Britishers were criticizing the Indians. They were treating Indians very badly, and these extremists got very frustrated that till what time will we rely upon prayers and petitions? So they wanted to self-rely and demand for Swaraj, that is self-rule. They promoted the cultural pride and revival of the India's ancient glory. The West often criticized and titled India that India had no past, they were white men's burden, but these philosophers, these personalities were responsible for reviving India's ancient glory. So what were the methods they adopted? Mass mobilization. So very important point here is moderates were not including the masses, but in the extremist methods the mass mobilization was carried out. Public rallies were taken and speeches were made. Boycott, Swadeshi and national education were their major methods. Encouraged passive resistance, sometimes also endorsed the revolutionary activities. So they were like, they will rely on the passive resistance, but if the need arises, they won't shy away from using the violent methods as well. Promoted the national symbols, songs, festivals as a tool of awakening. So this instilled the patriotism and nationalistic feeling in the masses. Slogans and ideals which we can use to quote: Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it. Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So he called for immediate political freedom and not slow reform. The basic differences between the moderates and extremists. What were the contributions of the extremists? They energized the freedom movement and widened its basis. So they fast paced in the freedom struggle, brought political action to the masses, paved the way for future mass movements like the non-cooperation movement, the civil disobedience. So see, just all of a sudden one day these movements cannot happen. Step by step, each building block is very important. So the extremists paved the way for movements like non-cooperation and civil disobedience. What were the limitations? They were not organized. So lack of organized strategy and all India structure. Movement often remained limited to the urban areas. Internal divisions also weakened their potential impact. So there were two factions in the INC, extremists and moderates, and under these also there were certain factions. So they weakened the whole ideology. What are the key differences? This will be the base of our question, so I have presented in a comparative structure. Moderates seeked incremental change through dialogue and compromise, but here they demanded immediate fundamental shifts in the society, not slow pace. Value objectivity, evidence-based reasoning. They had full faith in the Britishers, but they justified direct action and even violence for their causes. Moderates accepted that progress may be gradual, but it will be sustainable. But extremists said no. They rejected the views as illegitimate or immoral, that you guys are being immoral and illegitimate. So the INC exemplifies this divide. Moderates sought reform through British channels and extremists demanded the immediate independence. Next important event was the famous Surat split. So the Congress session was supposed to held in Pune, but that was the bastion of Tilak. So it was decided that in Gujarat, Surat, which is modern Gujarat, the session will be held, and during this session there was disagreement on the methods and the ideology. Extremists wanted a strong resolution on Swaraj and full independence, but the moderates preferred cautious and reformist resolution. So there were a number of divisions and on the ideologies. First, the methods. The extremists wanted Swaraj, full independence and boycott, but the moderates were against all these methods. What happened ultimately? Heated debates led to physical clashes. Chairs were even thrown out between the two factions. This session ended in the disarray, and the split weakened the Congress temporarily, and the extremists were sidelined for the next few years. So there were a lot of differences. For example, I'll tell those in brief only because we'll focus on the question now. Who will be the president? Moderates wanted their member and extremists wanted their. Then the methods to be adopted. Next up, ideological differences. So basically what it did was it weakened the Congress, which was a big yes and victory to the Britishers, because at that time what was required was unity, and gladly there was a reunion in the Lucknow Pact 1916. Both the moderates and extremists realized that the importance of unity is very much, and they reunited during the Lucknow session of the Congress. Congress also formed an alliance with the All India Muslim League. What is the significance? It marked the return of the mass-based politics, rejuvenated the nationalist movement before the launch of the entry of Gandhi in the freedom struggle. So along with these, what else you need to read about? The rise of the major Muslim personalities, for example, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan. The major events which were taking place, the partition of Bengal, then after 1916, Jallianwala Bagh massacre, how the Britishers were brutally suppressing both the factions and curbing the Indian rights. So you need to build a holistic view. You will read this part of history along with polity. Under polity, you will read about the various acts, Indian Council Act, small elemental reforms, and then develop linkages, that what were the demands and what was the act about. Why there was the demand of self-rule, what were those demands which were not fulfilled. So to conclude, the moderates laid the intellectual and the institutional foundation of nationalism, and the extremists sought the energetic, emotional and action-based movement. Despite their differences, both played complementary roles in shaping the Indian freedom struggle. Now let's quickly move to the relevance of this topic as per UPSC. In prelims, the dates are extremely important. Very confusing dates, but just develop a story in your mind. It will be easy for you to understand. Surat split, Lucknow Pact, leaders, slogans. In mains, under GS1 history section, the ideological differences in the nationalist leadership, the role of early nationalist strategies and their role in the later mass movement, how they were the building blocks for the future mass movements. Under essay and ethics also, the question can be contrast between the constitutionalism and radicalism. Role of ethical conviction versus pragmatic politics in the public life. So these are all the areas of UPSC relevance. The major segment of our video is of course the model question, because this is an answer writing series. The question for the day is contrast the approaches and contributions of moderates and extremists in the Indian national movement. A short answer, 10 mark, 150 word. The directive word here is contrast. If you have not seen our directive word series, just go back, because there I have mentioned all the directive words in detail with examples. Now for this question, as I always say, just pause this video, write an answer yourself. What you can do is just send us your answers in the Telegram group, Answer Writing by Prudent IAS. We evaluate one answer daily at no cost, or when I'll be discussing the answer in the upcoming slides, you can do some self-evaluation as well. But make sure to use a timer so that you can keep a check that how long it is taking you to write this particular answer. For model answer, first we'll write the introduction. This will be 20 to 25 words. You can exceed up to 30 words if you feel that you have less content for the body of answer. What will be the approach for our introduction? Briefly introduce the Indian national movement. Early phase, highlighting the emergence of two ideological streams within the Indian National Congress, that were the moderates and the extremists. Next, what will be the intro? The Indian national movement in its initial phase witnessed two distinct ideological approaches. The moderates, you will mention the dates, very important, 1885 to 1905, who believed in constitutional methods, and the extremists, 1905 to 1919, who advocated assertive nationalism. We have already done a brief discussion on the topic. I'll focus on the structural parts only. So the two things which are important in the intro. First up, the use of facts and figures, the dates. For any historical question, history-based question, please mention dates or the timeline. And next, what we have done is we have kept the demand in mind and described each in brief. The use of subject-specific terminology is also very important over here. The choice of words. Next, for the body of answer, we will use a comparative format to contrast the ideology and methods. Now, I'll repeat it again for you. The directive word contrast, what does it mean? When you are asked to compare two topics, then what you will do? You will write the similarities and dissimilarities. Similarities as well as the dissimilarities, but when answering the questions about contrast, you will focus only on the dissimilarities. So if you will understand this demand, this will save a lot of word limit, because if students will write about the similarities as well, then it will be difficult for you to avoid breaching the word limit. So here we have presented a comparative structure, which is very important for these questions. For other questions where we use evaluate, analyze, explain, you can use any structure. But for comparisons and contrasting, you need to present a comparative structure. We'll write the parameter, that is the aspect over here. The major points, moderates and extremists. What are all parameters? These are the same parameters along those we have read the content. So ideology, methods, key leaders, mass involvement, and what was the impact. Ideology, faith in the British justice and gradual reforms. They believed in self-rule, cultural pride. Methods, prayer petitions, resolutions, speeches. Boycott, Swadeshi, mass mobilization. Leaders, Dadabhai Naoroji, G.K. Gokhale, Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai. Mass involvement was very limited because it was basically educated elite. Broader, involved youth and masses in the extremist. Impact, political awakening of course, as well as economic critique, very important part under the moderates. And under extremists, it energized and fast-paced in the movement, rise of assertive nationalism. So you need to understand how we have brought that content in a very concise and precise way. We are not breaching the word limit. We are keeping it very concise. What you can do is, as I have, these are not underlines, just while writing the answer in the handwritten format, underline the keywords if possible. See, in the comparative structure, I believe all these are keywords, but still then if you feel there is certain keyword, then just underline it. Make sure you use a heading. What will be the heading for this structure? The differences between moderates and extremist. Now what to keep in mind is the way I have written between and you are not supposed to use this short form in the exam. What you will write is full between, B-T-W-E-E-N and A and D and. Avoid the use of short forms. Just focus on the alignment. Make sure, because the space will be less, so make sure you can also draw some lines over here to make the separations pretty much clear. Handwriting, structure, content, and then you will fetch good marks. Even in such answers, you need to write conclusion. Never ever skip the conclusions. How you will approach the conclusion? You will write about both the streams were complementary and together, and they laid the foundation for India's eventual freedom struggle. Now what happens often is, because of your personal bias, some of you must be inclined towards extremist and some of you must be inclined towards the moderates. And often you choose sides while writing the conclusion, which is a big no. You need to approach for a very balanced conclusion, where you will highlight the importance of both the factions. That okay, yes, despite there were differences, both the approaches significantly contributed to the growth of Indian nationalism. A very concise, summarizing conclusion on a positive, balanced note. Do not panic if you feel how you need to see. Just learn some words. For example, despite, So this will help you in highlighting that, okay, however there were certain differences, there were some positives as well. This will be the approach for most of the questions. So use the same approach for mostly all the answers. That's it for today. I hope the topic is pretty much clear to you all. If you face any difficulty and want a detailed discussion of any of the topics, just let us know in the comment section below and we'll make a different playlist for all the topics. Till then, just subscribe our channel Prudent IAS and join our Telegram group Answer Writing by Prudent IAS. Here you can send us your answers, do some peer-to-peer interaction. Also, we evaluate the answers, so you can also see the evaluated answers. That's it. Thanks for watching.